Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel, a podcast where I get to talk to entrepreneurs, mainly real estate investors so far, but entrepreneurs who are doing things at a really high level that I get to pick their brains and learn how we can create opportunities and how you guys out there can create opportunities as well. Learn from some people who are out there taking action and doing things so we can do the same. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming back a previous guest, a husband. Ooh, actually, I don't want to speak out of turn there, but definitely a father and an amazing entrepreneur who's doing a lot of cool things. He's actually a founding father as well of the Fit Fatherhood group, a group where we help dads take control of their health and wellness. We've been developing a really cool community inside school, and we have a free Facebook group as well. But he's become a really big staple of a part of the community where he's just adding value kind of left and right, from fitness, fatherhood, mindset, just growth in general. Welcome back to the show, Networking with Nathaniel, James Zieger. I hope I don't think we've actually ever spoke about that. I don't know if you're married to Haley or not.
I I like to call it common law.
Yeah, okay.
We've been
In,
together
in
long enough.
in every respect except for the actual legality of it, married.
Yeah. No, we've been together for 8 years. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
still consider I say that she's my wife whenever it's in conversation or anything like
Yeah.
that. So as
But
far as
as
I'm concerned, we're married.
yeah, the government don't need to be a part of my business. No.
Yeah, they don't need to know what I'm doing over here.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming back. One, as you've been a part of the community, I've seen the Fit Fatherhood community even before you joined and we started that. I've seen so much that you've grown, and you're constantly iterating yourself and your business and those around you. And I was like, dude, you got to come back onto the
Thank you.
podcast so we can kind of talk more about it. I get so much from you every week when we have that hour long coffee hour, tea hour. I drink my tea, but I've just it's been a pleasure getting to know you further, and I think that the people listening to this podcast are going to get a lot of value out of it. I know that you've got a lot of things going on, a lot of pies in the oven or whatever the cool analogy is there. But what is it that's
So the
kind of
kids
keeping
call
you
it these
busy
days.
on a yeah, what are the cool kids, yeah. I don't even know what the cool kids said in my day, but yeah. What's kinda keeping you busy on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, and I'll preface with thank you for the kind words, man.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, Fit Fatherhood has been, dude, it's been amazing seeing what you and Zach are doing and how that thing is growing and those that have been showing up every Friday and having those conversations.
yeah,
It's been really cool to be able to meet people outside of the same communities that
right,
you and I are both involved in and
yeah,
have those conversations and meet and understand other people. Um, Lately, man, through I want to say the past 6, 7 months, I've been going really headstrong. I went back into real estate. I know the last time we spoke, I took a little bit of a hiatus. I was transitioning out of getting back out of a W-2 that I went back
yeah,
into, and I ended up starting to form an acquisitions business, and things started to kind of take their turns, and I ended up teaming up with 2 powerhouse individuals, that have nothing but added value to myself and business. So, we kinda started hitting deadlines way faster than we were expecting to. So, we've gone more a little heavier on breaking the business down again and completely rebuilding it with, whole new model, whole new approach, whole new build out, and
mm.
really kind of streamlining some of the automation process in the business.
As you're mentioning the other 2 people, and I know who these people are prior to this conversation, but I've never, I mean, maybe I have before, but it's 3 J's, and do you guys use that at all in, like, naming or anything?
We
Triple J?
don't, but when I originally made the drive, which I changed to the knuckleheads now, because
Okay.
we have all these really cool things that we end up naming like our meetings or our one-offs and our drive folders. But the original, yeah, it was JJJH.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just it's Jeff, James, and well, and the other James goes by Jim or James depending on who he's talking to and what mood he's in sometimes, but, um, you
Yeah.
guys do have a great like, that's the other another person that I've really had the pleasure of getting to know through the Fit Fatherhood group is Jeff, your one of your other partners, is just the growth that you guys do and just the constant value and insight that you guys bring to the table. It's really amazing. Um, and you mentioned hitting deadlines really quick and the I don't want to say struggles, but the challenges that it brings when you do things really quickly and then being able to take a step back and break things down and go, okay, how do we solve these problems and how do we build things back a little bit better and a little bit more effectively? And that's something that you are really, really keen on. You've um, mentioned EOS a couple times, and I forget what the other one you mentioned today was. Spot. No, not Spot. There's another one that you.
There's SWOT, a couple
Yes.
different frameworks
Yeah.
on that side.
Yeah, would you tell me a little bit more about that and how that's playing into your business, how you're using those for kind of forming your team and your goals and all that?
Dude, absolutely. As I started diving into it, actually the first day that I really started diving into it was Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And everybody was calling me crazy because I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve. Like we got the presents out, kids asleep, everybody else is going to bed. And I popped the laptop out. We took a trip down to my mother's and I just went crazy on pulling a bunch of resources and like really diving deep into how we were going to move into 2025 on a much better note than we were.
Mm,
Because we started noticing bottlenecks pretty early on in the business. That's one of the strengths that Jim actually brings to the team in the business, is he immediately spots like,
mm,
"There's a bottleneck here, guys. Like, we gotta focus."
yeah.
But as I started learning a little bit more about the EOS model, I started reading Traction. For those that don't know about Traction, it's actually part of the EOS series in books. So it is the second to Rocket Fuel. Rocket Fuel is one of the first books in the
Okay.
EOS series. I loved Rocket Fuel because it gives you the overview, and Traction starts to break down a little bit more of the tactical. So as I'm reading the book, I'm like, wow, man, there's so many things that I didn't even like realize that we don't there's so many ways that we're going wrong right now
Mm,
with how we're operating and what our business is doing. So we've cut it all the way down to the basics. Like we spent, I want to say, at least the past month just figuring out like what the business core values are and starting to lead any of the interviews that we have for people coming into the business with just those core values and making sure they align with that. Um, it goes a little bit further, but once you have those, it makes the rest of the initial setup a lot easier. So
mm,
now that we have a finite core values, and the funny thing about that is I learned that you don't dictate your business culture.
mm,
Like you don't just say, "This is my business culture."
yeah.
Uh, it turned out that our business culture was called, um, so the fluffy culture, slash the happy accident.
Okay.
And the legitimate name if you run by the EOS model, which I
Yeah.
thought was hilarious. And that culture was that we had a group of people, it could be 2 people, it could be 4 like us. We align on our individual values, but we're lacking on the systems and process portion of it.
Mm,
Now, we thought we had it all figured out in the beginning because we have everything was automated. Our pipeline, our CRM, there's like click of a button here, VA data entry, auto filling calculators for the underwriters, and kind of smoothing things. But we had no foundation. So that's what we've been heavily focused on. So I was creating forms and having every all 4 of us, each individual, fill these forms out, and as I'm going through, like, they were exercises to try to determine our 3 core values for the business, not us as an individual, because you have to put that there eventually. And through these forms, everything in the value sense, all 4 mention the same 3 values.
Mm,
Again, we did this individually, so it's not like we jumped on a Zoom, we were communicating while filling it out. I sent it out, I was like, "Hey, fill this out by the end of the week, and we're gonna talk about it in the next meeting." So I thought it was really interesting and really cool.
yeah.
Um, once
Are
we
you
established
willing
that,
to share those?
yeah, it's, honest oh, sorry, honesty, integrity, and collaboration.
Okay. It's like almost the Marine Corps values in our second.
Yeah. It's funny
Yeah.
because the exercise that we did was it was, what are, like, your individual values, and then list out people that you allow to influence you or people that you look up to, and then list the values of that person
Mhm.
that attract you to them. And then we break it down to a discussion. Now, in the real world, if that's not how you aligned in the beginning was because of the values, you'll have like a whole list of like maybe 20, 30 different values that you're going to have to start filtering through. But as soon as I saw all 3 were similar, I'm like, "Guys, we don't really need to spend 45
Yeah.
minutes trying to break this down, like, we all put the same 3. So,
Yeah.
let's
Makes
run with it."
nice and easy, yeah. It's funny you mentioned the,
Mm.
staying up till, like, 4 a.m. on Christmas Eve. I was just listening to this, I forget what it's called, like, The 7 Rules of Life or something by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's one of the things he mentions, like, when you find something that you're really passionate about, time kind of ceases to exist in a sense because you just go really deep into this thing because you wanna get better at it and you wanna, be great at it and be successful at it. So that sounds like kinda what, man, this EOS model seems like it would be really valuable for our business going forward. How do I really dive deep into that? And that's something that I've found you tend to do a lot. Is like you just kinda, "Oh, this is really interesting. I think I could get value at this. Let me really explore this." And that's something that I really admire in you, that you just
Oh,
kinda
thank you.
you let things you let time kinda cease to exist in a sense. Not to say that you don't keep track of time and let all your other responsibilities just fall to the wayside. But yeah, it just you just kind of fall deep into that. So how are these core values? How are you using them in your business to kind of move things forward?
Well, there's a multitude of ways that we're using them. I had mentioned, and it was trust, integrity, and collaboration.
Okay, deviating from the
Haley
Marine Corps a
corrected
little bit.
me.
Yeah.
Um in a multitude of ways. So, like, I have been interviewing for operations manager in the business.
Yeah.
So, all of my round ones, the entire conversation is conducted around figuring out if they, would align with those core values before we
Mm,
even move on to any other sort of discussion. Um, and then I display those by, like, I'm upfront, I'm honest, open book, like, even to the point where in round 1, I break down the entire pay structure within the business and what everybody makes on the commission, like, just full send. Like,
yeah.
"Hey, I just want you to get a picture of what it is that you're potentially stepping into and where things can kinda go and what you can be a part of." Even more so, the rest of the foundation, um, of building that out is, like, coming up with your 10-year target, your 3-year picture, your 90-day game plan.
Mm,
All 3 of those, when you're determining those and you're putting that into place and you're breaking down, like, where your business is, physically, where your business is monetarily, um, fully a full breakdown of what your business looks like in that time period.
mm,
And you have to make sure when you're doing that, that everything that you're putting down falls in line with those core values and you're sticking to it.
mm,
Now, with setting it up that way and having core values at the utmost importance of how you're operating and in your business, one of the things that we're going to implement and we'll be doing, and it'll be every quarter, is people analyzers. with everybody in the business, including the core four. So we will analyze each other as
Mm,
well. One of the other things that I absolutely love about the team is we in our meetings, there's, hey, if somebody has like an issue or problem, it gets brought up and we have the conversation about it. It's like, well, let's solve it. Let's get through
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So implementing those values now with the people analyzer, it's we take a look at them every quarter and we're like, okay, so the way that they've operated in our business so far, are they conducting themselves in a way that it aligns with the three core values? Yes, like if it's yes for integrity, um, yes for trust, but no for collaboration, then we know let's go back and have a conversation with them and kind of see where things lie because you want to make sure it's all across the board.
Yeah, you can kinda tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you want to look at, get it, want it, got it. Do they get what we're trying to do? Do they get the role? Do they get the responsibility? Do they want that role? Do they want those responsibilities?
Mm,
And like, do they fully understand and do they operate to those responsibilities?
yeah. I like that little, like, ditty kinda thing. Uh, it sounds like in a sense, the core values are a goal that allow you to say no to things, right? When you have like a really clear vision on where you're going and what your goal for yourself or your business is, when things opportunities come in that don't align with that goal, you can just go, no, 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 it doesn't further our goal. The values is kind of the same thing. If it's something that's not leading with trust and it's like kind of backdooring things, like, nope, not interested. If it's not collaborative, like, or at least can we tweak it and make it collaborative somehow? So that's a really
Oh,
cool little,
absolutely.
yeah, really cool little way that dang, did you pass it to me, James?
Probably.
Yeah, dang it,
I
through
gave
the
it to you
microphone.
earlier.
Yeah, earlier, yeah. This is I appreciate I should say that too. I appreciate you being here even though you're not, feeling super great at the moment. We speaking of goals, this is being recorded 2 weeks ahead of time. Um, I had Rosie Noel on just a couple days ago on the live, networking with Nathaniel. We were talking about goals, and I wanted to kind of get your opinion on it. We mentioned it a little bit in the coffee hour this morning. We've heard SMART goals. We've this It's something that we hear a lot of when we're talking about goal setting. Oh, make them smart, make them specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. She flipped it a little bit and called it STRAM, which is specific and time bound. It puts the time bound up at the top, which in my opinion, that's with it being specific and time bound, that's a complete goal, kind of in a sense, right there. And then
Right.
as STRAM is it realistic? Is it, oh shoot, what was I forget what the A is. No, it's not achievable. It's aligned. Is it aligned
Aligned.
with aligned with your vision, aligned with your values, aligned with your goals? And then are you motivated to do it? And if you just have the specific and time bound, it's a pretty complete goal. But if you can hit those other three, now it's something that you're really going to put your best foot forward with. Is that something that you heard before? What are your thoughts on that?
So I do love the way that she broke it down, and the way that she put a little bit of spin on it and kind of rated the importance
Mm,
um, when she did kind of change that around. I do like that she had aligned to it. Um, you know, in my humble and personal opinion, goals can be a tricky thing to talk about.
mm,
Honestly,
yeah,
they could be a very tricky thing to actually put on paper, have those sitting up there. Yes, you want to shoot for the moon, shoot past the moon.
yeah.
That's what you learn, especially getting into entrepreneurship. I've dived deep. Like the first time I really heard about SMART was Tony Robbins, actually,
Okay. Yeah.
and what he did with the RPM. And I basically I broke that down and created my own version of the RPM that I've used. I've had other people use as well, and it utilizes the SMART framework when you're setting the results that you're after, which would be the goals. Um, and then you go from there and you break them down even further into the tasks that you're either going to
Right.
perform or delegate out.
Yeah.
Now, what I've learned between Maxwell and what I'm learning with the EOS model, It's been pretty interesting because Maxwell says like, hey, when you set like that grand vision, like that big goal, like yes, reach for the gold, go big, go bold, but make sure it's expandable because things
Mm,
are going to change along the way, which means that that picture might look a little bit different by the time you get there.
mm,
And that putting a different kind of spin on it, at least for me personally, when setting goals, if you go by like the EOS model, it has you set like three different timelines and goals. Yeah, I previously mentioned the 10-year target, the 3-year picture, and the 90-day game plan.
yeah,
10-year target, that's where you're shooting for gold. You wanna set that up to where that's it almost seems like it's unrealistic, and it's so far out there. But when you do the 3-year picture, now you're talking a little bit more realistic. You know, what does your business look like when you hit that 3-year mark? And now you're reverse engineering down into a 90-day game plan so that you're
yeah.
getting close to the 3-year picture. Now, there's a question that a lot of people end up tending to ask because when we talk about goal setting, most of the time you reverse engineer that big goal. Well, what happens when you hit that if you hit that big goal? What happens if you hit it earlier?
Mm.
What do you do?
I'm done. I throw up my
Yeah, it's like, oh
Yeah,
man, I made it. I'm there.
yeah, that's it.
What I've learned from here is you take that 10-year, let's say you are almost at the 10-year in 5 years. Well, that 10-year target becomes your 3-year picture, and you set a
Mm,
new 10-year target. And that's where it kind of clicks. Is like now I understand what Maxwell was saying by when you set those goals for yourself and you're going big, make sure it's expandable.
yeah.
Make sure you can add to that. There's room to grow that.
I've never
Mhm.
done I've never gone that
Sorry.
far out. No, you're good. Yeah. Somehow when you cough, it doesn't pick it up. You have your thing set up though amazingly, so
Yeah, I have different settings on different things to kind of block out everything I can.
I'm getting there. Yeah. Um, I've never set 10-year goals like that. The furthest we've gone out is kind of a 3 to 5. Um, it's just from where we've come in the past 8 months, it's I can't even it's hard for me to even see 3 years down the road, let alone 10. And you're saying, just make it as big as you can. Okay, well, I mean, I can kind of use my imagination to that, but like what I'm going to be a year from now compared to where I am today, it's like, man, that 10-year goal is changing in a year for sure. Almost like it, just because we're
It's
constantly growing and we're trying to like learn new things. Like,
100%.
yeah, and like, and even just probably you could attest it just in the last quarter that man, I've learned so much and changed so much in the business. Like we broke the business and we implemented these new things, and now we're a completely different unit together. That gosh, how do I think that far ahead? It's crazy. It's not crazy, but in the
It does seem honestly, it does seem crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
And so I ended up taking this from Jim because as we sat down to start like kind of going over and throwing stuff out there from each individual so that we can kind of pinpoint exactly what those goals are going to be for the business. Um, he started listing off like we were going through the 3-year picture and he starts listing off all of these things and he goes, that's pie in the sky. Like
Mm,
pie in the sky. So those to him, when he listed that off, that was almost like his, this might be unrealistic, but this is where I would love to be.
mm,
And then it was like what he thinks would be realistically. So we kind of scrapped the original idea for the exercise. And I still have the flashcards sitting right here in front of me where we went through each individual, myself included, and we wrote down the list of pie in the sky and realistic.
mm.
And what we're setting for the company is somewhere in between pie in the sky and realistic for
Okay.
that, for the target, the goal, and the game plan.
Yeah.
But
Are you? Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
oh, sorry, go ahead, finish that thought, brother.
No, no, no. I was going to ask a question. You said you use your butt.
um, what we ended up finding interesting because everybody thinks differently. I had a conversation with somebody who had told me they wish that, you know, Pace would be able to sit down in a room with them and teach them exactly how he thinks.
Mhm.
It's not until you start having like these exercises and implementing things like that in both with yourself and in your business that your thinking does start to change a little bit. Because now that we were speaking with each other, pie in the sky realistic, one of them was doors, the amount of doors that the business would own. We averaged on the realistic was between 30 and 100, but the pie in the sky was between 150 and like 250.
Okay.
There's a big difference between the realistic and pie in the sky.
Yeah.
So now I came back and I'm like, Jim, I'm going to single you out real quick. I was like, because you were the one that gave the lowest on both sides. What do you consider doors?
Mm.
Because I know we're going for single family to quads, but you know, we're looking at pad split and co-living. Are you considering each individual room in a pad split or a co-living a door, or are you just considering the type of property? If it's a single family, 1 door, if it's duplex, 2 doors, if it's quad, 4 doors, and like you saw the light bulb go off, and you just, "Damn it, breaking my brain now," because these are the different ways that you start to think as you're going through these
Yeah.
exercises, and you're starting to realize, like, "Okay, that's what I was thinking then. Now I'm reshaping how I'm thinking, and
Mm.
this is something that's gonna carry moving forward as we continue to go through these exercises."
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. We do typically think one door is actually a door, right? One for a single, two for a duplex, like you're saying. But as we're exploring these other options, these other creative hold strategies, yeah, you might see that a door is actually inside a bedroom door, like, because
Yeah,
you create multiple tenants in a sense when you're doing a pad split or just a straight. We don't do pad split. We just do co-living. That's what we've chosen to kind of focus our energies on. But yeah, it changes the way you look at a door, as in a sense. Are
100%.
you are you willing to share your like big 10-year freaking pie in the sky goal?
We're still formulating that
Oh,
actually.
okay. Okay.
Um, we've learned this isn't something that you just sit down and within 10 minutes you put that down.
Right.
So this is why
Yeah.
we're doing pie in the sky. Now, what's funny about that and telling that whole story about Jim was because as soon as he was like, okay, now that I'm looking at that different, my in the pie in the sky looks a little more realistic and I need to set a new
Mm,
pie in the sky number.
yeah.
So, that being said, and for anybody that's watching this and is going to be watching this and watching the replay on Zoom or not Zoom, sorry, on
YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah.
you might think that when you're setting some of those goals with the mind frame that you're in right now and being new to doing all of this, you might think that your pie in the sky is completely unrealistic, but you'll start to notice as you're going through the process, as you're developing, as you're growing, as you're learning, as you're working with people, once you hit that new level of thinking and those new heights, that pie in the sky will start to become super realistic for you a lot quicker and a lot easier than you think.
Yeah. With the 10-year and the 3-year, um, is this I know you do the 9-year breaking, I mean, the 90-day breaking down from the 3-year goal, or is this something like every year you're coming back and you're revisiting the 10-year, or do you wait until the 3-year kinda turns around like, "Okay, now let's revisit the 10-year?"
No, we'll be doing a yearly alignment meeting.
Okay.
So we'll be doing 3 different types of meeting. Anybody that's read rocket fuel or knows anything about rocket fuel, or traction, the level 10 meeting is mentioned in there, and that's
Mm,
that weekly meeting.
yeah.
Then we have a quarterly meeting, and the quarterly meeting is that, we're going over the 90-day game plan and making sure that we're hitting, because once you have that, that's where you start coming up with your measurables and what you're tracking and what all of that looks like. So there's a quarterly meeting to make sure that we're hitting those goals. Then there's a yearly alignment meeting, and this typically would consist of like You know, some companies, you'll see them for big companies do it, and you don't know that it's a yearly alignment meeting. They'll what do they call it? Like a business ball, or they'll put on some sort of event to where they're at a what's it called? Like a golf club or something like that, where it's
Oh,
like a
okay.
2-day event, and it's like
Yeah.
this big exclusive business retreat. And the whole idea of it is that first day is to reinstill what that 10-year target is, what that 3-year picture is. So you're realigning those goals with everybody that's in your business.
Mm,
And when you're the head or the face of the business, or you're part of that, the board of executives, you're basically going to put together like a pitch deck of your business to to go over again with everybody in your business.
mm,
And then from there, what follows that will be, are we aligned now? Like, now that we went through all this, we've realigned with what we're trying to do as a business, what we're trying to do as a company, what everybody's trying to do. You take the next day, 2 days, if it's a 3-day event, and that's where you start seeing, like, are we where we need to be? Are we where we're supposed to be? If you establish on day two you're not, then day three will be okay. Well, no, we all have to have that discussion. We all have to take a look at things and find out why,
mm.
and then readjust the 90-day game plan. And then now we're going to readjust a couple of things that are going to be in the topic of discussion in the weekly and the quarterly meetings.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys have a handful of, well, maybe not quite a handful, but close to a handful of different style meetings that you do, from what I understand, right? You have one, and you also have just like constant communication. So one thing that we
Oh yeah.
talked about this morning is like, Brittany and our operations manager, they have a daily meeting, just half an hour. What have you seen? What are you kind of having questions on, that they can kind of just come together as, the two operations heads, that to hash things, not hash things out, but just
Right.
make sure we're all aligned. And then they're also texting all the time, all day, like constant communication. You guys have this big, well, you have multiple text threads where different people are chatting, and the larger group. But you mentioned you also have a team meeting, a weekly team meeting, but you also have like I forget what you called it, like a family Zoom every couple weeks or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's a different, like, the the team meeting kind of makes sense to me, that I'm assuming that that's that level 10, or at least you're gr moving towards that level 10 meeting. What was the
Yeah.
family one about?
So that's actually, honestly, why we structured it that way, to where we have the two different text threads, one between the core, one between everybody, so
Mm,
that we communicate consistently through the week, so that we're staying on par and on point when we come into our weekly meeting. Um, so
mm,
anything that comes up through the week, it's addressed immediately and things are taken care of. So we stick to the script.
yeah,
Every 2 weeks, what I personally call it the family meeting, but we would get everybody in the business together. And if there was something pressing that we did have to go over while everybody was in the room and with the cameras on, we would spend like the first 15 minutes going over that. And then the rest of the Zoom is more allowing those people in the business, the operations manager, the underwriters. Um, that's just specific to us because we're an acquisitions business. So those are the seats and titles we have.
yeah,
We give them an opportunity to let us know like what's going on in their lives, what their day to day looks like, what their goals are. Um, if they're working on the goals, if they're struggling on anything. Um, but it kind of gives us the opportunity. So like those soft skills that you would look for, at least that I look for in people, empathy is one of those. So this kind of allows that channel of empathy to where we can see what's going on in each person's life in
mm,
our business, and have kind of an understanding of like, if we have a week to where like, you know, Billy Bob, let's say Billy Bob's in our business and we have a week to where his performance is down, and he comes into that Saturday meeting and he's like, "Oh yeah, like a couple personal matters have happened to my family, and It's been really stressful and a lot that I'm dealing with. Now I understand why performance was down. So it's like, okay, now
Yeah.
this is a space there's like, hey, where can we provide that support? Where can we help you? Um, like we understand the stressful situations, it can be tough. So we'll support you any way that we can to keep things moving in the business. But outside of the business, like where can we provide support to you?
Yeah. I
Um,
love that.
it also creates that space to where it's like, sorry, you froze
Did
a
I?
little bit on me there.
Oh no, yeah. I was gonna say your audio's crackling a little bit. You, yeah, I'm losing you. Dang it! You got to close those apps again.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna pause. I
Oh,
paused for a second to see if we could like rebuffer. Yeah, I think we. Oh, I don't know where we were. Oh, well, I think it's really cool that you have those family style meetings. Um, it glitched out a little bit. What did you call them? You call them something. You said I call
oh,
them
I
this style.
personally call them like family meetings.
Okay. Yeah, you're like
But
investing in your people. Hey, what are you guys needing?
yeah,
It sounds like at least outside of the business as well, because it's the people that make the business, right? And if they're having issues that at least we can help with outside of their business that may affect their performance or not, let
yeah,
let's help them out, right? That's what this is all about. One thing that I think we're both aligned on is when somebody's coming into the business, you mentioned the values. We have to be aligned on the values. We have to be their goals and what they're hoping to accomplish for themselves and for their families. It has to be We have to be able to help them to reach that. Otherwise, they're not a good fit and we're not a good fit for them, right? Well, I'm just to use real estate for an example. Like if they want to be um own a big bike company, this is terrible. I'm coming up with this on the spot, but
yeah. You'd
right,
be
like
surprised.
yeah, maybe we're not the best fit because we're going after real estate and maybe not still because a lot of the things will correlate. But yeah, that was my analogy. It's terrible, but
Oh man, you
yeah,
you find out really interesting things. Honestly,
yeah.
one of the things that I absolutely love about it, and the feedback that we ended up getting was, it allows the people in our business to it allows us to pull back the curtain. So the people in our business know and see and understand things from our end too,
Hmm.
and like where we're at, why we make decisions that we make, and why we do operate the way that we do.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but it creates that like, I mean, the ops manager that's heading out, there's no animosity there or anything. And we found out like through that meeting, she started becoming a little bit more comfortable actually like letting us know thoughts, feelings, things that are going on there. She found out within herself because we're like again, we're doing single family up to quads. And most of what we've had come in the pipeline are single family and duplex. And she's like, hey, nothing against you guys, but one of the things that I've learned over the last couple months is I don't like single family.
Mm,
They're like, okay, great. If you don't like single family, I don't want to hold you back and keep you somewhere like you're not happy. Like if this isn't helping you develop skills, this isn't helping you develop as a person, it's just not something for you. I don't want to keep you there. And
yeah.
you kind of have that assumption gap that ends
Mm,
up happening. To where it could go, 3, 4 months from now, and we're like, why is the operations manager doing less?
right.
Why is she late to the meetings? Why is her camera off? Why is she not talking anymore? It allows that next level of communication and understanding.
Yeah. Well, I kind of to that point a little bit and I don't know if you're going to follow this with the new operations manager, but we treated this, you can call it like a trial period or like a probationary period, but we call it like the dating period where, hey, we're
Yep,
gonna we're gonna try this out for 90 days. And if it doesn't work, if for whatever reason it's not working, like we both can go our separate ways after the 90 days. No hard feelings. No, that doesn't mean that you have to wait the 90 days. If they come in and they're just not doing what they need to be doing, or they just don't like you. I hope that you're able to voice your opinion, express yourself freely. That was part of interview process is like, hey, are you open and honest and able to tell me, hey, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. But after that
Yeah.
90 days, you come back and you're like, hey, is this what you were thinking it was going to be? What can we do better? What can we improve on? Or let's split up. We were fortunate enough that we've had ours for 8 9 months or something like that, 8 or 9 months now. And we couldn't imagine life without Joanna, our operations manager, like especially when things get t- uh, tumultuous. I think it is definitely a word. I don't know if it's the right word, but uh, like, like I, 4 months ago now, that this freaking hurricane hit, and we lost power, we lost internet, we didn't have cell service for a couple days, and I literally signed we bought a house the
I
day
saw
of the
that closing
hurricane.
papers in the dark in your
Yeah, in the
kitchen.
dark. We had our little, like, camping lamp, and
Yeah.
if Joanna didn't exist, if Joanna wasn't a part of our operations, we that thing would have just stalled for 2 weeks until we got power and electricity back because we didn't really have services. But Joanna just like, "I know what I'm doing. This is why I'm here." Hit the ball. She knew the values of the company. She knew what we were trying to accomplish, and just, like, invaluable. So, I don't know why I started
Yeah.
saying that, but yeah.
No, that's perfectly fine. Actually, when I
Yeah.
saw that post, I'm like, "Man, I aspire to be more like Nathaniel
Mm,
when this really, like." Well, because I mean, realistically, like, there are a lot of people, especially in the very beginning, that'll use things like that for excuses on why
mm,
they weren't able to get things done, or,
yeah,
why they don't have another deal in the portfolio. And when I saw that, I'm like, "Dude, this is a guy that literally, like." Yeah, nothing held back, like, there is no excuse, like, that deal made it across the finish line, like, he's in the middle of a hurricane, he took a
yeah.
picture, there's no power, there's a little camping lantern, and he's got the paperwork, and he's signing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Man,
It was a
that's what
cool
I'd love to see
experience.
more of."
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, we've had a couple cool ones, that last year that like, cool little signing experiences. The one that we had at Unleash and Invest was pretty cool too. Like, we signed paperwork in front of this whole group of people. It just happened to work out that we had the signing that day, but yeah, it was like, those are the ones that you look back on and you remember. It may not be the biggest deal that we've ever done, but, like, those are the ones that you our freaking notary drove under power lines and around trees that were in the streets to get out here. It was complete chaos. Her eyes were just, like, huge, wide open, but she remembers us now because we had a closing just, like, a week or so ago, and I called her and she was like, "Oh, hey, you guys are doing another closing. Yeah, come on out. Let's do it," you know? Um, yeah, those are the ones that you remember, the ones that are, like, kinda turmoil. You're just in turmoil, but, um, yeah.
It's yeah,
I Oh,
it
yeah.
sorry, go ahead, finish that thought.
Oh, no. No, 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 the thought was kind of escaping me. I wanted to Oh, yeah. Well, I wanna make sure that we're kind of respectful of your time. I know you have things coming up, so, you mentioned a couple books already. For being, somebody that doesn't like to plug books, which you said, is what is you mentioned Rocket Fuel Traction as part of the EOS series. Is there a 3rd or 4th or 5th that are in that series that you've liked or enjoyed?
In that series, not particularly,
Okay.
um,
Those are the 2 that I've heard the most is Rocket Fuel and
yeah,
Traction. And Rocket Fuel
but
is
I
just to, like, make sure that I'm thinking of the right Rocket Fuel is the one where they break down the integrator and visionary role, is that correct? Yeah,
yes.
okay. Okay.
So, Rocket Fuel is the one where they first introduce, like, the level 10 meeting and like a breakdown of the seats in your business,
Okay.
which interestingly enough, I know that a lot of people like I won't necessarily say, and this is why I don't always recommend books too. Because there's a lot of times where like you'll recommend a book and somebody will follow it to a T.
Mm,
And this discussion comes up a lot of the times in the Zooms. So I get people to ask me all the time, like, hey, what's your business breakdown? Like your real estate, what are the seats? What are the roles? Who's assigned to those?
yeah,
And I always tell everybody the same thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in real estate, it doesn't matter any other business that you're in. Your build out might look a little bit different. Like your business, even if you go with acquisitions, you're you're in acquisitions, you're purchasing properties, but your business breakdown looks different than mine does.
yeah.
But yeah, we're both running an effective business and it's working.
Mm,
It's the same thing when you're taking information from a book. Same thing with why I'm open about it, and I'll let them know, like, hey, yeah, like if you were to look at the chart in rocket fuel, which is the same chart that you utilize to designate seats, roles, and responsibilities, like even in EOS, we're using a software for EOS, building all of this out as well. We stripped away, like we don't have a sales department. So you might, because if you're doing direct to seller or
mm,
anything like that in your acquisitions business, you'll probably have a sales position. We don't. We've got integrator and visionary. We have marketing and business strategy, which falls under my wife. And then we have operations, which the operations manager will head. We've already implemented people underneath the operations role as well. And
yeah,
then instead of sales, we have business relations, which we have Jeff heading that department. And he's more on, speaking to the lenders as they're coming into the business and passing them off and having those conversations and building those relationships. So it's set so each department now, every individual that's heading it can start to, and we're supporting roles. So like I'll support Haley, Haley will support Jeff, Jim will support me, I'll support Jim, but it's kind of set up in a way that each see it's going to be very easy to build those teams out underneath each compartment in the business.
yeah. You have clear, like, you didn't you Jeff doesn't have to support anybody? No, I'm just kidding.
No, Jeff does support.
Yeah.
We all support each other.
Uh,
um
Jeff got
but
left
Jeff,
out
I
of the
mean,
support conversation. He's too busy
no,
fighting
he's
fires in
another one.
California to be supporting any. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, you can go watch him live
yeah,
fight those
yeah.
fire, well, setting them.
It's it's pretty, yeah,
But
he gets to use a flamethrower, like, what the heck? What a cool job. Oh,
yeah,
so yeah, you have, your divination of roles, like you're saying, is dependent on what your goals and what your values and everything are, right? Like you said, if
yeah,
you guys aren't doing direct to seller or direct to agent, so I can take that piece and go get rid of it. Whereas if I'm just like, oh, this is the gospel, I gotta follow this, I gotta fill the sales department. Like, maybe you're not, it's not aligned with what you're trying to accomplish. So you start with where you're at, where you're going, and those 90, 3 year, 10-year goals, like, and that allows you to know, do I need this piece or not? And maybe you don't need the relations, the business relations side of things. I would probably
yeah,
argue you should, but maybe you don't. Maybe
yeah.
that's what
But
you're,
if you're using a capital raiser or anything in your business, then you don't need the business relations compartment
yeah,
because you've got a vertical in your business that's already taking care of that.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it's just that's why we don't have sales and we don't necessarily call it or have acquisitions compartment or anything like that, because
yeah,
now it allows, like, we have our core focus, we got the core values, the core goals, and the core focus, and the core business. So everything that we do outside of that is going to feed into the core. So we're not taking any focus away from that. So when we have a bottleneck, there's I know there are a lot of people that understand and know what verticals are, but when there's a bottleneck in the business, take deals that are coming in, for example, like we've got a pipeline and we're getting 300 deals a day, and only two of them make it into the pipeline because they fit. They actually fit the buy box or they're worth taking a look at. Well, you can consider that a bottleneck.
hmm,
So now what do? We can go out, we can designate all this time to creating a wholesale leg in the business, or hey, how about we go teach people how to underwrite because now they're learning the way that we underwrite. Oh,
oh no, I'm losing you again.
oh no, I'm back.
Okay, what, yeah.
um, that can become a vertical because now we're solving the bottleneck, but creating another business that still
Yeah,
feeds to the core. So now we can put, training out there for how to underwrite the same way our goat underwrites.
yeah.
Same thing with
Well, and
wholesalers.
if I'm, and I think I am, like, a vertical could be, I'm a flipping company, and instead of going and outsourcing my contractor, I bring an in-house contractor, or like I create a separate business that now is
100%.
funneling, right? And you
Like,
could do it like transaction coordinator and title, like you could do
yeah,
it all and have it
contractor was a
completely
great
in-house.
example.
Yeah.
This, that was something that, Jim and I actually had a very heavy conversation about yesterday
Mm,
morning, was going into another market, having to relay that whole foundation, contractors, insurance,
yeah.
title, all of that. Now, the property that we ended up buying, we got extremely lucky with that contractor. He was already implemented in the property before we took it over.
Okay.
So one, he's amazing at his job. He's got an amazing crew. They stick to the timelines. He's honest. Um, he's saved us a ton of money. He was resolving issues for us before we
Mm,
even closed on the property.
yeah.
Now, one step further, as that relationship's been developing, guess where some of the deals coming in our pipeline are from? That contractor, because that
Yeah.
contractor who grew up in that area knows about all these different people. They know about, he knows attorneys that have properties that come through. He knows people that are buying tax lien properties and then going and flipping them for a quick buck after,
Mm,
they gain control of the property. So that's feeding more valuable, you know, deals into the pipeline, whereas that's an area that we want to enhance and build up more of a portfolio in.
yeah.
That just became a vertical because he's going to make money twice. Like, we'll be able to
Right.
pay him an acquisitions fee off of bringing the property, but he's also going to be able to do the work on those properties for us. And we didn't put any additional time, energy, and effort in building a wholesale team, reaching out to people that are over there. So it just starts to become win-win situations.
Yeah. All of that. Do you, not to follow any books to the T, do you have any other ones that have influenced you, kind of given you any aha moments?
There's a couple. Um, Jesse had me read
Oh no, I lost you again. Pausing. We're
Die with Zero
die with 0? Okay, yeah, we had to
with him.
pause
Yeah,
again for a second. James
no
likes to
worries.
have like 1,000 apps open on his computer at any given
I
time because he's
closed
an
them all.
integrator.
I have nothing
Did you?
open right now. Yeah,
It's mine. I have it's the banner going across. Die with nothing.
or Die with Zero.
Oh, die with 0. Okay, sorry.
The aha moment from that book was understanding that your time and energy is can also be a compounding investment.
Yeah.
So that
Mm,
was awesome.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
the courage to be disliked.
Yeah.
That one's a pretty good one. That one, if anybody is familiar with Outwitting the Devil, it's a very similar format. And instead of
Okay.
interviewing the devil, he's interviewing philosophers.
Okay.
So it's a really good book.
Yeah. Yeah, Winning the Devil's a powerful one.
Yep. And then Think Faster, Talk Smarter was another one that I did read.
Think Faster.
Talk Smarter. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Think
that one's
Faster.
about getting over like fears of public speaking and leading meetings and things like that.
Seems like that's something you've been getting pushed to do more of lately is
Yep.
more talking and yeah, things like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that amazing not wife of yours kind of in the background. I hope she can hear me right now, Haley. Hi.
Mm.
Oh, she can.
She'll
Oh
probably
yeah,
go
dang.
watch it, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, when your time on this earth is done, and I should preface, this is something that at least for the last like 30 or so episodes, I think everybody's been asked. So I love hearing people's answers to this, and I think yours is going to be really unique here. That once your time on this earth is done, whatever you believe happens after that happens. But what do you want to be remembered for from the people that you've left behind here?
Honest answer, I want to I wanna be remembered as that guy that encouraged people to go after those big things, um, step outside of their comfort zone,
Mm,
and just really go hard on those things that they think that they can't do.
that's awesome. And the beard, of course.
And the beard, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So by that time, I'll probably be able to wrap
Yeah.
it around my waist and tie it a
Use
couple
it as a
times,
belt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who needs belts? I got a beard. Well, I appreciate you being here, man. Like I said at the top of this, learning from you and watching you grow, and you're pulling me along as well. Like it's just been great experience, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to have you back on. Oh, I should have I forget. We've talked about this before. I forget what episode. I'm gonna look real fast. You were on originally. Uh, James. It was early, wasn't it? It was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was early on.
Oh, what the heck? I don't have it here. James.
No, we did talk about it because I remember
17. So
yeah,
58 episodes ago.
because when you told me that and you told me the timeline, I was like, "There's no way, dude. That felt like that
Yeah,
was, like, 2 months ago. It was, like, a
I
year
know.
ago?"
That's
Jeez.
amazing. That's kind of a testament to your time is it's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah,
Because
that's for sure.
things happen. So they as a father now, well, 4 years now, but you know, people tell you, oh, you blink and then they're grown up. Like Harlan's about to be 4 and it's 8 days. It's like I just brought him home this little bald thing from the hospital. Like he wasn't
I
bald
remember
immediately, but
rocking
yeah.
him in the car
Yeah.
seat to get him to go to sleep, the detachable
Yeah.
car seat. Yeah.
Yeah. Like just incredible. But keep doing what you're
But
doing. I look,
I wouldn't
yeah.
trade it for the world though, man.
No.
Like,
No.
having people like, yourself included in my life and to be able to watch, learn, grow with, grow from, grow
Mm,
next to, a lot of people like yourself and doing things like Fit Fatherhood and everybody out there, having these open conversations. I feel blessed in a
mm,
way that it's like since I've stepped into doing all of this, short like 4 years ago, at the time of working a W-2 and being gone 80 hours, one of the biggest concerns that I had was giving time back to Haley and giving time back to my son because I
mm,
was never home, working 80 hours a week, barely covering the bills, any of that. And having the wonderful communities, having these wonderful relationships, meeting all of these wonderful people, doing these podcasts, jumping on the Zooms, a byproduct of that is my son has learned, more than I have in my
mm.
entire life at such an early age by everyone else doing this. Like
Yeah.
he gets the pleasure of jumping into random meetings and saying hi and talking to people and you know, he sat there, threw his headphones on and learned how to underwrite properties at
Mm,
who else gets to say a 7 years old, their kid
yeah.
gets to watch and learn some of these amazing things.
Yeah.
And most people strive to like be the one and be that influence in their kids' lives. And it's just I'm just blessed enough that I have these communities that have that influence on my kid. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like I
Yeah.
would never go back to before 4 years ago.
Yeah, I can second that for sure. I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna boot you off. If you would, I know you gotta go pretty soon here. Just leave the browser open so it'll process the thing. But before you go, how do people get a hold of you? How do people find your underwriting Zooms that you're doing? I know we didn't even really get a chance to talk about that, but I don't. You're not doing it, but James is doing it. Your business partner, Jim. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
how do people get all those resources that you guys have currently and are working on down the line?
So the tag name actually on my name, I've been trying to keep it pretty simple and stay with the flow is at the James Zieger.
Yeah,
You can find me on Insta. I'm on YouTube now, which, by the way, I hope I can put this episode on there.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm verified on YouTube now, so I can start putting links in the descriptions.
Yes.
Um, so I'll go ahead and when I put this up, if you look, if you're watching this episode, or if you're directed to this at all, I'll have the links not only to Fit Fatherhood, but those groups, and where to find all of those people that I'm blessed to be involved with. I'll have all of
Yeah.
that in there as well.
Awesome. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to give you the boot. If I don't see you before then, I'll see you next Friday.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'll be
Or
there.
well, I will have seen you 2 Fridays already probably before I see you next Friday. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that
right.
works.
That was James Zieger. Like amazing just what he and his partners are doing in their business. Like we mentioned early on, kind of breaking things, hitting milestones before they're ready to hit them, and then going backwards and reinventing themselves and their business to go break it again and hit milestones before they're ready to hit them. That's what this is about, is just taking action consistently and iterating as we go along. If you're listening to this live, this is live, pre-recorded live. I appreciate you being here. If you've gotten any value out of this or any other episodes, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. If you're needing help out there, you're stuck in your business, you're needing clarity on your goals, come to Helping Hands Hour. We're live every Thursday at noon Eastern time. It's a free Zoom where we can just chat, network, and kind of help you get unstuck. If you're a dad out there listening and you're looking for a community around taking charge of your health and your wellness, just to be more present, more energized for your day, and be a better role model for your families. We've got a great group that James is a part of, and his business partners are part of dads that are just trying to lift each other up and grow together. Fit Fatherhood on Facebook group, Fit Fatherhood on school. I appreciate y'all for being here. I'll see you next time.